On Tuesday evening, my daughter called to cancel our family dinner, said the restaurant had a booking problem. I'm Ruby Patterson, 62 years old. I said okay and wired her $1,500 for her air conditioning repair. Then, the next day, I found out she'd been at that same restaurant the whole time, laughing with her in-laws about how I say ain't and wear church dresses. That's when I decided to find out exactly what else my only child had been lying about. My name is Ruby Marie Patterson, and I've lived in Mountain Home for all 62 years of my life. This town sits tucked between the Blue Ridge Mountains in North Carolina, where the air smells like pine, and the people still wave when they drive past your house. I was born Ruby Marie Johnson in 1962, delivered by my grandmother in the same bedroom where I sleep now, in the house my late husband James built with his own hands in 1989. If you're listening from somewhere far away, drop your city in the comments so I can see how far this has traveled. And please, stay with me until the end. James has been gone 3 years now. 3 years, 2 months, and 16 days, if I'm being exact. And I am always exact. Cancer took him in March of 2021, swift and ruthless, the way it tends to take the good ones. He was 64. We'd been married 40 years. I worked as a registered nurse at Mountain Home Regional Hospital for 35 years, the night shift mostly, because it paid an extra $2 an hour. James worked construction, then later as a foreman for Blackwell Construction Company. Together, we built a life, a good life, a simple life. Our house sits on 3 acres at the top of Cedar Hill Road, number 1247. It's a 2-story colonial with white siding and black shutters. James insisted on the shutters, said they made the house look dignified, like us. The front porch wraps around the left side, and I've got 43 rose bushes planted along the front. I count them every spring. Red ones, pink ones, and James's favorites, the yellow peace roses. In the back, there's a vegetable garden. Tomatoes, collard greens, okra, snap peas. Everything I need to make a proper Sunday dinner. I wake up at 5:30 every morning. Not because I have to anymore, I retired in 2019, but because my body remembers 35 years of night shifts. At 5:30, I'd be finishing my rounds at the hospital, checking vitals one last time before the morning nurses came in. Now I get up, make my bed with hospital corners, some habits never die, and go downstairs to start the coffee. I drink it black, 2 cups, sitting on the back porch watching the sun come up over the mountains. This particular morning, Tuesday, August 15th, 2024, I was deadheading the roses when my phone rang. The screen said Jasmine Mobile, my daughter, my only child, Jasmine Patterson Reynolds, 38 years old, born January 3rd, 1986 at Mountain Home Regional. I was back at work 6 weeks later, night shift, so James could watch her during the day. She's a lawyer now, corporate law. Works for Henderson and Price in Charlotte, 2 hours east of here. She married Brandon Reynolds 10 years ago, July 17th, 2014. I remember because it rained that day, and my sister Dorothy said rain on a wedding day meant tears in the marriage. I told her to hush. I wiped the dirt from my hands and answered, "Hey, baby." "Hi, Mama." Her voice had that tone, the one that came before she needed something. I'd heard it maybe 15 times in the past 3 years. "How are you?" "I'm good, sweetheart. Just working in the garden. How's work treating you?" "Busy. Really busy." A pause. "Actually, that's kind of why I'm calling." I sat down on the porch steps, the phone pressed to my ear. A hummingbird hovered near the feeder I'd hung from the maple tree. James put that hook in the week before he died. "What's going on?" "Well, Brandon's parents are coming to visit this weekend. Patricia and William are flying in Friday morning from Boston." Patricia and William Reynolds. I'd met them twice. Once at the wedding, where Patricia wore a cream-colored suit and pearls and spent most of the reception talking to the other lawyers. Once at James's funeral, where she hugged me briefly and said, "What a terrible loss," in the same tone you'd use to comment on the weather. William was a retired cardiothoracic surgeon. Patricia taught comparative literature at Boston University. They lived in Beacon Hill in a brownstone they'd owned since 1987. "That's nice," I said. "It'll be good for y'all to spend time together." "Yeah, exactly. So we were planning this family dinner Saturday night at Mountain Lake Bistro. You know that new place downtown?" I knew it. It had opened last year in the old First National Bank building on Main Street. I'd driven past it but never been inside. The menu was posted in the window. $38 for a Caesar salad, $45 for salmon. Sounds lovely. Right, so here's the thing. Jasmine's voice shifted, got a little faster. We had a reservation for 6 people. Me, Brandon, his parents, his brother Tyler, and Tyler's wife Stephanie. But the restaurant called this morning. They had a booking problem. A wedding party or something. They had to cancel our reservation. I watched the hummingbird dip its beak into the feeder. Red sugar water. James always said to use the good cane sugar, not the cheap stuff. Oh, that's disappointing. I know, we were really looking forward to it. But anyway, they can't accommodate us Saturday, so we're just going to do something casual instead. Maybe order pizza at the house. Something in my chest tightened. Not quite pain, just a feeling. Well, that's all right. Family time is family time no matter where you are. Exactly. That's what I told Brandon. Another pause. Actually, Mama, there's one more thing. Here it was. What is it, baby? Our air conditioning unit died yesterday. Just completely gave out. And the repair guy said it's going to be $1,500 to fix it. We're a little short this month. Brandon's quarterly bonus doesn't come until September 15th, and we just paid our mortgage. I was wondering if you could maybe help us out? Just until the bonus comes through. We'll pay you back, I promise. $1,500. I thought about the envelope in my desk drawer, the one where I kept track. In the past 3 years, since James died, I'd given Jasmine money 17 times. March 2021, $3,000. Emergency roof repair. 2 weeks later, Dorothy showed me Jasmine's Instagram, photos from a weekend trip to Myrtle Beach. July 2021, $2,500. Medical bills for my appendicitis. The next month, Jasmine posted photos of new living room furniture, a white leather sectional, mid-century modern coffee table. November 2021, $4,000. Car transmission, and on and on. The amounts added up to $23,700. I kept every bank transfer receipt. I'm a nurse. We document everything. Mama, you still there? I'm here, I said. $1,500. I know it's a lot, but it's so hot, and we really need it. I wouldn't ask if it wasn't urgent. I looked at my rose bushes. 43 bushes, and I'd planted every single one myself. James had helped with the first 10 back in 1995 before his back got bad. I'll transfer it today. Oh, Mama, thank you so much. You're a lifesaver. I'll pay you back as soon as... I know, baby. As soon as Brandon gets his bonus. We talked for a few more minutes. She told me about a case she was working on, something about corporate mergers, words I didn't fully understand. I told her about the tomatoes coming in early this year. Then we said goodbye, and I sat on the porch steps for a long time holding the phone. The hummingbird was gone. The next morning, Wednesday, August 16th, I drove into town to the farmers market on Mill Street. Every Wednesday from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m., local farmers set up stands selling produce, honey, fresh eggs. I needed cucumbers for pickling and wanted to get some of Martha Henderson's peach preserves. She only made 50 jars each summer, and they sold out fast. The market was crowded, which was good. Meant the farmers were doing well. I parked my 2015 Honda CR-V, blue license plate number JMP3847, paid off in 2018, in the gravel lot and walked through the rows of white tents. I was examining a basket of heirloom tomatoes when I heard my name. Ruby Patterson. Well, I'll be. I turned. Eleanor Price, 71 years old, retired high school English teacher, president of the Mountain Home Garden Club, and the biggest gossip in 3 counties. She wore a sun hat the size of a satellite dish and carried a wicker basket full of zucchini. Morning, Eleanor. Isn't it a beautiful day? The Lord is good. She came closer, lowering her voice to what she probably thought was a whisper, but could still be heard from the next row over. I saw your Jasmine last night. My hand stilled on a tomato. Did you? Oh, yes. Ted and I went to that new restaurant. Mountain Lake Bistro? You know, the one in the old bank building. Very fancy, very expensive. She leaned in. $22 for a cup of soup, can you imagine? I could imagine. I'd seen the menu. Anyway, Eleanor continued, we were there for our anniversary. 48 years, can you believe it? And I looked across the restaurant and there was Jasmine, with Brandon and another couple. Older folks, very distinguished looking. I figured they must be Brandon's parents. They all looked so happy, laughing and toasting with wine. I would have gone over to say hello, but I didn't want to interrupt. The morning suddenly felt very cold despite the August heat. What time was this? I asked. Oh, let's see. We had a 7 o'clock reservation, so probably around 7:30. 8 o'clock? Tuesday night, August 15th, 7:30 p.m. The same night Jasmine had called me. The same call where she'd said the Saturday dinner was canceled because of a booking problem. They had a wonderful spread, Eleanor went on. Steaks, seafood tower, one of those fancy things with the oysters and shrimp. The waitress brought out champagne. Looked like a celebration. That's nice, I managed. Well, I won't keep you. I know you've got shopping to do, but isn't it wonderful that Jasmine stays close with Brandon's family? Family is so important. She patted my arm and moved on to interrogate someone else about their business. I stood there in the middle of the farmer's market, surrounded by fresh vegetables and the smell of kettle corn, trying to make the pieces fit. Tuesday night, Jasmine called at 4:47 p.m. I remembered because I'd looked at the kitchen clock. She said the Saturday dinner was canceled. Restaurant booking problem. But according to Eleanor, at 7:30 p.m. that same night, Jasmine was at Mountain Lake Bistro with Brandon and his parents, having dinner, celebrating, which meant I bought the cucumbers, bought the peach preserves, smiled at the right people, waved at Dorothy Jenkins, my best friend of 30 years, but didn't stop to talk. I needed to think. Back in my car, I sat in the driver's seat with the windows down and called Mountain Lake Bistro. Mountain Lake, this is Kayla speaking. How may I help you? Hi, Kayla. I'm calling to check on a reservation under the name Patterson Reynolds for this Saturday, August 19th. One moment, please. The sound of typing. Yes, ma'am. I have a reservation for 6 people at 7 p.m. under Jasmine Patterson Reynolds. Would you like to modify that? 6 people, 7 p.m., this Saturday. No modification needed, I said. Thank you. I hung up. So there was no booking problem, no cancellation. The reservation existed, was still active, which meant Jasmine had lied. My daughter had lied to my face about a canceled dinner, then went to that same restaurant that same night with her in-laws. And she had another dinner planned for Saturday, another dinner I wasn't invited to. I sat in that parking lot for 20 minutes, watching people come and go with their bags of fresh produce, their jars of honey, their bundles of flowers. Normal people doing normal things, while my world quietly tilted sideways. I drove home on autopilot, left on Mill Street, right on Oak, straight up Cedar Hill Road to number 1247, parked in the driveway next to James's old work truck, a 2003 Ford F-150 I couldn't bring myself to sell. Walked inside with my bag of cucumbers and set them on the kitchen counter. Then I sat at the kitchen table and I called Dorothy Jenkins, 60 years old, retired nurse. We'd worked together at Mountain Home Regional for 23 years. She'd been married to Robert Jenkins for 35 years until he passed in 2019 from a heart attack. No children. She lived alone now in a yellow bungalow on Sycamore Street, number 428. Dorothy was practical, direct, and had never lied to me once in 3 decades. Hey, Ruby, what's wrong? She knew. She always knew. Can you come over? Give me 20 minutes. 19 minutes later, I watched the clock. Her silver Toyota Camry pulled into my driveway. Dorothy let herself in through the kitchen door like she'd done 1,000 times before. She took one look at my face and said, "Put the kettle on. This is a tea conversation." While the water boiled, I told her everything. The phone call from Jasmine, the request for $1,500, the story about the canceled dinner, Eleanor Price at the farmer's market, the reservation that still existed. Dorothy listened without interrupting, another reason I loved her. When I finished, she was quiet for a moment, stirring honey into her chamomile tea. "Did you give her the money?" she finally asked. "Transferred it yesterday evening. $1,500, sent at 5:14 p.m. to her Bank of America account, ending in 7392. "Ruby," Dorothy's voice was gentle but firm. "How many times has she asked for money since James passed?" 17. "And how much total?" $23,700, not counting yesterday's $1,500, which makes it $25,200. Dorothy closed her eyes briefly. "And she's paid back." "Nothing. Not $1. We sat in silence. Outside, a cardinal sang from the maple tree. James used to say cardinals were signs from heaven. I didn't know if I believed that anymore. I need to know if she lied about the dinner, I said. I need to be sure. Then we'll be sure. Dorothy pulled out her phone. What's the name of the restaurant again? Mountain Lake Bistro. She dialed, put it on speaker. Mountain Lake, this is Kayla speaking. Hi, Kayla. I'm helping my friend plan a surprise party, and I wanted to ask about a recent reservation. The name would be Patterson Reynolds, probably for yesterday evening, Tuesday the 15th. Typing sounds. Yes, I see it here. Party of 6-7 p.m. on Tuesday, August 15th. They came in right on time. Is there something I can help you with? Dorothy looked at me. I nodded. Just confirming the date. And I see they have another reservation coming up? Yes, ma'am. Saturday, August 19th, 7 p.m., also for 6 people. Same name. Perfect. Thank you so much. Dorothy hung up. So it was true. All of it. Jasmine had dinner with Brandon's family on Tuesday night, the same night she called me with the story about the canceled Saturday dinner. And the Saturday dinner wasn't canceled at all. It was still scheduled. 6 people. Brandon, Jasmine, Patricia, William, Tyler, Stephanie. No room for me. Ruby, Dorothy said quietly, there's something else we need to check. She was right. I knew she was right. I went to James's office. I still called it that, even though he'd been gone 3 years. The room still smelled faintly of his cologne, Brut Original, same bottle he'd been using since 1983. His desk was mahogany, bought from an estate sale in 1992 for $65. I sat in his chair and opened the bottom drawer where I kept our financial files. Bank statements from Mountain Home Community Bank. I'd been banking there since 1980. Account number ending in 4521. I pulled out the last 3 years of statements and spread them on the desk. Dorothy pulled up a chair beside me. Show me every time you gave her money. I had a system. Every transfer to Jasmine, I'd highlighted in yellow and noted the reason she'd given me. I went through them chronologically. March 15th, 2021, $3,000. Emergency roof repair. April 2nd, 2021, $800. Car insurance payment. May 20th, 2021, $1,200. Property tax shortfall. July 8th, 2021, $2,500. Hospital bill from appendicitis. August 30th, 2021, $1,500. Replace water heater. November 3rd, 2021, $4,000. Car transmission repair. December 18th, 2021, $900. Christmas gifts for Brandon's family. February 14th, 2022, $1,100. Furnace repair. March 29th, 2022, $2,200. Medical bills. June 6th, 2022, $1,800. New tires for both cars. August 12th, 2022, $1,400. Home insurance deductible after storm damage. October 1st, 2022, $950. Unexpected tax bill. November 24th, 2022, $1,600. Thanksgiving dinner for Brandon's family. January 30th, 2023, $1,350. Plumber emergency. April 15th, 2023, $2,100. Brandon's mother's birthday gift. June 20th, 2023, $1,200. A C-unit maintenance. July 28th, 2023, $1,500. Legal fees for work case. And now, August 15th, 2024, $1,500. A C repair. $25,200. Dorothy was making notes on a napkin. Ruby, do you have Jasmine's social media passwords? No, should I? No, but we can look at her public posts. What's her Instagram? I'm not on Instagram. I am. Dorothy pulled out her phone and typed. What's her name on there? I think it's just her name, Jasmine Reynolds. Dorothy typed, scrolled. Got her. Let's see. She started scrolling through posts, going backwards in time. Here, March 2021. Best weekend getaway. Myrtle Beach with my love. She showed me the photos. Jasmine and Brandon on a beach. Cocktails. Sunset. That was 2 weeks after the $3,000 roof repair. Dorothy kept scrolling. July 2021. New living room, who dis? Thanks to my amazing husband for this surprise. Photos of the white leather sectional. the mid-century modern coffee table, 1 month after the $2,500 hospital bill. November 2021. Upgraded. Brandon surprised me with my dream car. A silver Mercedes C-Class in their driveway. Jasmine standing next to it, keys in hand. 2 weeks after the $4,000 transmission repair. Dorothy set down her phone. Ruby? I couldn't speak. My throat had closed up. Every single time. Every single lie. Every emergency that wasn't an emergency. Every crisis that was really a vacation, a purchase, a luxury. My daughter had been lying to me for 3 years. Taking my money I'd earned working night shifts for 35 years, money James and I had saved penny by penny, and spending it on Mercedes cars and beach vacations and leather couches while telling me she had emergencies. And now she was having dinners with her husband's family. Dinners she specifically lied to me about. Dinners I wasn't invited to. I need to know why, I said finally. I need to hear it for myself. Dorothy looked at me. What are you thinking? I'm thinking I'm going to that restaurant on Saturday night. I'm going to see for myself what's so important that she had to lie about it. Ruby, I have to know, Dorothy. I have to hear what they're saying about me. Why I'm not good enough to be included. Dorothy was quiet for a moment. Then she nodded. Okay, but you're not going alone. I'm coming with you. That night I couldn't sleep. I lay in the bed I'd shared with James for 40 years, staring at the ceiling, listening to the house settle around me. This house he'd built. This room where we'd raised our daughter. Where I'd read her bedtime stories and dried her tears and celebrated every report card. Saturday, August 19th, 2024. The day arrived too quickly and not quickly enough. I spent the morning in my garden, weeding around the rose bushes, though they didn't need it. My hands needed to be busy. At noon, I came inside and took a long shower. I stood under the hot water until it ran cool, trying to wash away the dread that had been building in my chest for 3 days. At 4 p.m., Dorothy arrived. She let herself in through the kitchen door and found me standing in my closet, staring at my clothes. What do we wear to spy on our own children? I asked. Dorothy came to stand beside me. Something that makes you feel strong. I chose a navy blue dress, simple, modest, the one I wore to church most Sundays. James had always said I looked dignified in navy blue. I put on my pearl earrings, the ones he'd given me for our 25th anniversary. Small armor. Dorothy wore black slacks and a cream blouse. Neutral, she said. Forgettable. We left at 6:15 p.m. in Dorothy's silver 2018 Toyota Camry, license plate DKJ-8924. I didn't want to risk Jasmine recognizing my blue CRV in the parking lot. The drive from my house at 1247 Cedar Hill Road to downtown Mountain Home took exactly 14 minutes. I know because I watched every minute tick by on the dashboard clock. Mountain Lake Bistro was located at 183 Main Street, in what used to be First National Bank. The building was red brick, built in 1924, with tall windows and white trim. They'd renovated it beautifully, I could admit that. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, I could see white tablecloths, crystal glassware, candlelight. Dorothy parked across the street at 6:29 p.m. We sat in the car watching. You don't have to do this, Dorothy said quietly. We can turn around right now, go to Donna's diner, get pie, pretend this never happened. I thought about it. For exactly 10 seconds, I considered it. No, I said. I need to know. At 6:47 p.m., a silver Mercedes C-Class pulled up to the restaurant. The same one from Jasmine's Instagram post. License plate JBR4429. Brandon got out first, tall, blonde, wearing a navy suit. He walked around and opened the passenger door. Jasmine stepped out. My daughter was wearing a red dress I'd never seen before. Fitted, elegant, expensive-looking. Her hair was styled in waves down her back. She was laughing at something Brandon said, her head thrown back. She looked happy, beautiful. She looked nothing like the little girl who used to help me plant tomatoes in the backyard, who'd get dirt under her fingernails and not care. Behind them, a black Lincoln Town car pulled up. An older couple emerged. Patricia Reynolds, tall, thin, silver hair and a perfect bob, wearing a cream-colored suit and pearls. William Reynolds, distinguished gray temples, rimless glasses, charcoal suit. They looked exactly like what they were. Boston old money. Brandon and Jasmine went to greet them. Air kisses. Smiles. Patricia touched Jasmine's cheek, said something that made my daughter smile. Then a third car arrived. A red Audi. Tyler Reynolds, Brandon's younger brother, maybe 35, and his wife Stephanie. Blonde, petite, wearing designer everything. 6 people total. They walked into the restaurant together, Brandon's hand on the small of Jasmine's back, Patricia's arm linked through William's. A family, complete, without me. "Come on," Dorothy said. "Let's go in before we lose our nerve." We crossed Main Street at 6:52 p.m. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. Dorothy pushed open the heavy door, and we stepped inside. The restaurant was beautiful. Dark wood floors, exposed brick walls, soft lighting from Edison bulbs hanging in clusters. A hostess stand by the entrance. A young woman, maybe 25, name tag reading Emma, smiled at us. "Good evening. Do you have a reservation?" "No," Dorothy said smoothly. "But we were hoping for a table for 2?" Emma checked her tablet. "We're quite full tonight, but I have a small table in the back corner near the bar. Would that work?" "Perfect," I said, because the back corner meant we could see the whole restaurant, and Jasmine's party, seated by the front windows, would never notice us in the shadows. Emma led us through the restaurant. I kept my eyes down, my head slightly turned away from the windows. We passed within 15 feet of their table. I could hear Jasmine's laugh, high and bright, the way she used to laugh as a teenager when she was trying to impress someone. Our table was a 2-top in the far corner, partially hidden by a decorative column and a large potted plant. Perfect. I could see them clearly, but they'd have to be looking specifically for us to notice. We ordered. Dorothy got the salmon, $34. I got the chicken, $28. Water with lemon for both of us. The waitress, whose name tag said Rachel, smiled and disappeared. And then we watched. Jasmine's table was animated, loud. Patricia was gesturing with her wine glass, telling a story. William was nodding, amused. Tyler and Stephanie were listening, laughing at the right moments. Brandon had his arm across the back of Jasmine's chair. She kept touching his knee, his arm, leaning into him. They looked like a family in a magazine advertisement. Perfect, polished, happy. I felt Dorothy's hand cover mine on the table. "You okay?" "No," I whispered. "But I need to hear it." At 7:23 p.m., their appetizers arrived. I watched the waitress, a different one, not our Rachel, set down plates of oysters, burrata, something with truffles. Patricia was inspecting her wine glass like it had personally offended her. Our food came at 7:31 p.m. I cut my chicken into small pieces, but barely ate. Dorothy pushed salmon around her plate. We were both just waiting. At 7:47 p.m., I got my chance. I needed to use the restroom. The sign pointing to the bathrooms indicated they were on the far side of the restaurant, which meant walking past Jasmine's table. Dorothy looked at me, questioning. I nodded. I stood up, smoothed my navy dress, and walked. I kept my pace steady, my eyes forward. As I approached their table, I could hear their voices more clearly. I slowed down, just slightly, as I passed behind William's chair. "Honestly, I'm just relieved she doesn't know about these dinners," Jasmine was saying. I stopped, pretended to look at my phone. I was maybe 6 feet behind them, partially hidden by the column. "Darling, you have to understand our position." Patricia's voice was smooth, cultured, with just a hint of Boston accent. "Your mother is, well, she's lovely in her own way. But our circle is quite particular about these things." "The way she talks, though." Brandon's voice. I'd never heard that tone from him before. Mocking. That thick Southern accent. Last Christmas when she visited, she said ain't 3 times during dinner. I counted. Laughter. Tyler laughed. Stephanie laughed. My daughter laughed. I know. Jasmine's voice was quieter now, almost apologetic. "I've been working on that too, trying to refine myself, sound more professional. It's commendable that you've come so far from your background." William spoke carefully, like he was choosing each word with precision. "But integration into our world takes time. Generations, really." My hands were shaking. I gripped my phone tighter. "It's not just the accent," Patricia continued. "It's the whole presentation. The church dresses. The way she tried to bring that casserole to the funeral reception, as if we were having a potluck. More laughter. "Oh God, the casserole," Brandon said. "In the Pyrex dish with the little flowers on it." "That casserole was her famous chicken and rice," Jasmine said. There was something in her voice. Was it defensiveness? But then she laughed too. "She makes it for every church function." She thought people would want comfort food. "Comfort food," Patricia repeated like the words were foreign. "At the Beacon Hill Club. Can you imagine?" "I had to hide it in the coat check," Jasmine said. God, it was mortifying. Mortifying. My chicken and rice casserole, the one I'd made with my grandmother's recipe, the one I'd stayed up until 2 a.m. making the night before James's funeral reception because I thought people would be hungry, was mortifying. "At least she's useful for something," Tyler said. I could hear ice clinking in a glass. "The money thing. That's working out well for you guys, right?" Silence for a moment. Then Brandon. "Jasmine, tell them about the air conditioning." "Oh my God." Jasmine's voice dropped, conspiratorial. "So she called me Tuesday and I told her about Saturday's dinner being canceled." "Which it obviously wasn't," Stephanie interjected. "Right, and then I told her our air conditioning broke and needed $1,500 to fix. She sent it within an hour." $1,500? Patricia sounded impressed. "Just like that?" "Just like that. She always does. I think it's her way of staying connected. Like if she gives me money, I'll need to keep talking to her." My vision blurred. I couldn't tell if it was tears or rage or both. "And what did you actually use it for?" Tyler asked. "This dinner," Jasmine said simply. "Well, this and the new Gucci bag I've been wanting. Brandon got me both as an early birthday present." Laughter again, clinking glasses. "To Jasmine's air conditioning fund," Tyler said. "To generous mothers-in-law who don't ask questions," Stephanie added. "She's not Brandon's mother-in-law technically," Patricia said. "Though I suppose in the most literal sense. She's never been to our house," Brandon said suddenly. "In Charlotte. Not once in 10 years of marriage." "Really?" William sounded surprised. "Not once?" "We've never invited her," Jasmine said quietly. "It's just easier this way. If she doesn't see how we live, she can't, I don't know, judge it, or feel bad about it, or worse, try to fit into it." "Smart," Patricia said. "I remember at your wedding she tried to introduce herself to the Harrisons. Do you remember that, William? She walked right up to Senator Harrison and started talking about, what was it?" "Medical care for veterans," William said. She'd apparently treated several veterans at her hospital and had opinions about the VA system. "Opinions," Patricia repeated, distaste dripping from the word. As if Senator Harrison wanted to discuss policy at a wedding reception with a... She paused. "Nurse," Jasmine finished. "She was a nurse. Was. Past tense. Like I died with James." "The point is," Patricia continued, "these social situations are difficult. You were wise to keep her at arm's length, darling. Can you imagine if she'd been here tonight? With her church dress and her accent trying to make small talk about her roses?" "Or worse," Brandon said, telling one of her long stories about patients at the hospital. "Remember the one about the man who coded 3 times? "Oh, God, yes," Jasmine groaned. "She tells that one at every family gathering. Goes on for 20 minutes about chest compressions and defibrillators." "It's not her fault," William said, and for a moment I thought he might defend me. "She comes from a different world. Different education level, different social class. She did the best she could with what she had." "She gave you opportunities she never had," Patricia added. "That's admirable, but it doesn't mean you owe her access to your life now." "Exactly," Jasmine said. "She sacrificed so I could be here, so I could have this life. The least I can do is protect her from seeing how different we are now." Protect me. She was protecting me. From what? From seeing that my daughter was ashamed of everything I was? I stood there, frozen behind William's chair, my phone clutched in my hand, my navy blue church dress suddenly feeling like a costume, like proof of everything they were saying. "The irony," Tyler said, "is that she probably thinks you're struggling. That's why she keeps sending money." "She does," Jasmine said softly. "She thinks we're barely making it. She doesn't know about Brandon's bonus structure, or my partnership track, or the investment properties. Investment properties. Plural. How much have you gotten from her total? Stephanie asked. If you don't mind me asking. A pause. I held my breath. In the last 3 years, maybe 25,000? $25,000, William repeated. And she just gives it to you? Every time I ask. Medical bills, car repairs, whatever I say I need. She never questions it, just sends it. That's actually sad, Stephanie said. It is sad, Patricia agreed. But it's also enabling. She's enabling Jasmine to avoid having an honest relationship with her. Enabling. I was enabling my daughter to lie to me. Should we order another bottle? Brandon asked, clearly wanting to change the subject. The Chateau Margaux is excellent. Let me, William said. Consider it a celebration of family, the family we choose to be with. The family we choose. I turned and walked away. Not to the restroom, back to our table. My legs moved mechanically, one foot in front of the other, past other diners eating and laughing, past waiters carrying trays, past the hostess stand. Dorothy saw my face and immediately stood up. Ruby, we need to leave, I whispered. Now. She didn't ask questions. She put 2 50s on the table, more than enough to cover our barely touched meals, and followed me out. We made it to the car. Dorothy got us out of the parking space, down Main Street, out of downtown. I stared straight ahead, my hands folded in my lap, breathing carefully through my nose. We were on Cedar Hill Road, almost to my house, when I broke. It started as a sound in my throat, a small, wounded sound that I'd been holding in since I was 6 feet behind William's chair. Then it grew, became a sob, then another. Then I was crying so hard I couldn't breathe, doubled over in the passenger seat, my hands pressed to my face. Dorothy pulled into my driveway and killed the engine. She didn't say anything, just reached over and held my shoulder while I fell apart. I cried for the daughter who was ashamed of me, for the $25,000 I'd given thinking I was helping, for the church dress that was apparently a joke, for the chicken and rice casserole hidden in a coat check at my husband's funeral, for the accent I'd had my entire life, that my mother had, that my grandmother had, the accent that marked me as uneducated, unrefined, unwelcome. I cried for James, who would have known what to do, who would have protected me from this. I cried until I had nothing left. Dorothy helped me into the house, sat me at the kitchen table, made tea with honey, the way she'd done 1,000 times before, set the cup in front of me, and sat down. Tell me, she said. So I did. Every word I could remember, every laugh, every cruel observation, the air conditioning money spent on this dinner in a Gucci bag, the way Jasmine spoke about me in past tense, like I'd stopped existing, the investment properties I didn't know about, the partnership track, Brandon's bonus structure. $25,000, I said finally. She said 25,000. I calculated 25,200. I was off by $200. Dorothy was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, Ruby, I need to ask you something. 3 years ago, did Jasmine ever have you sign anything? Paperwork of any kind? I thought back. Yes, right after James died. She said it was for my health insurance. Forms for the hospital benefits or something. I was so foggy from grief, I signed what she put in front of me. Do you have copies? Maybe in James's office, the filing cabinet. Dorothy stood up. Show me. We went to James's office. I opened the filing cabinet, the one he'd bought from Sears in 1991 for $89. Top drawer, files labeled in his neat handwriting. I found the folder marked Insurance Ruby. Inside were 3 documents, all dated April 2021, 1 month after James died. Dorothy took them to the desk, turned on the lamp, and began reading. I watched her face change. Ruby, she said slowly, this isn't health insurance paperwork. What is it? It's a financial power of attorney. You gave Jasmine legal authority to manage your finances, access your bank accounts, make transactions in your name. My legs went weak. I sat down in James's chair. What does that mean? Dorothy kept reading. It means she can do anything financial she wants with your name. Open accounts, close accounts, take out loans, make investments. She looked up. Ruby, when was the last time you checked your credit report? I don't know. James always handled that. Dorothy pulled out her phone. We're checking it right now. What's your social security number? I recited it. She typed quickly, navigating to one of those free credit report websites. Created an account in my name. Waited for the verification questions. Mother's maiden name? Johnson. Ruth Ann Johnson. More typing. Then Dorothy went very still. What? I asked. What is it? She turned the phone toward me. Credit report for Ruby Marie Patterson. Social security number XXX-XX-4521. Date of birth March 3rd, 1962. Current credit accounts. Mountain Home Community Bank. Checking. Opened 1980. Mountain Home Community Bank. Savings. Opened 1980. Visa card ending in 8834. Opened 2022. Balance $8,450. Home equity line of credit. Mountain Home Credit Union. Opened 2022. Balance $47,000. Personal loan. First State Bank. Opened 2023. Balance $23,700. Credit inquiries. Last 24 months. American Express. Denied. Insufficient income. Chase Sapphire Reserve. Approved. Account closed. Capital One. Denied. DTI ratio. I stared at the screen. I don't have a Visa card. I don't have a home equity line. I didn't take out a personal loan. No, Dorothy said quietly. But Jasmine did. In your name. The numbers swam in front of my eyes. $8,450. $47,000. $23,700. I did the math. $79,150. In debt that she took out using your name and the power of attorney you unknowingly signed. I thought about my house. The house James built. The house we'd paid off in 2015. Free and clear, he'd said. No mortgage, no debt. Our legacy for Jasmine. The home equity line, I said. That's secured by my house? Dorothy checked the report again. Yes. Property at 1247 Cedar Hill Road, Mountain Home, North Carolina. If you default on that $47,000 line of credit, they can foreclose. The room tilted. I gripped the edge of the desk. She used my house, the house her father built, as collateral for a loan? And then she took out more loans in my name? It looks like it. I stood up too fast and had to steady myself on the chair. What did she spend it on? The investment properties she mentioned? Dorothy was already typing on her phone. What's Jasmine's address in Charlotte? 2847 Wexford Drive, Myers Park neighborhood. Dorothy searched, found the property records. Her face went grim. Ruby, the house she lives in, purchased in 2019 for $780,000, sold in 2022 for $1.1 million. She sold their house and bought a new one, 4,521 Providence Road. Purchase price, $1.85 million. Purchased June 2022. June 2022. The same month I'd given her $1,800 for new tires. There's more, Dorothy said. She owns 3 other properties, investment rentals, 1 in Charlotte, 2 in Asheville. Total value approximately $900,000. I sat back down. My daughter, who'd been asking me for money for air conditioning repairs and car insurance and medical bills, owned 4 properties worth almost $3 million. How? I whispered. How did she afford all that? Dorothy looked at me with such sadness. Ruby, I think I know, but we need to talk to a lawyer. Why? Because this isn't just lying. This isn't just taking your money. This is identity theft. This is fraud. And I think, she paused, I think she's been committing tax fraud too. What do you mean? The power of attorney. The loans in your name. I'm betting she's been claiming you as a dependent, deducting expenses for your care, getting tax breaks for supporting an elderly mother who needs financial help. But I don't need financial help. I have my pension, my savings, James's life insurance. Exactly, which means she's been lying to the IRS about your situation to reduce her own tax burden. I thought about everything I'd heard at the restaurant. The casual way they'd laughed about the $1,500, the relief that I didn't know about their dinners, the way Patricia had said I came from a different social class. They thought I was poor, uneducated, someone to be pitied and kept at arm's length. They had no idea. Dorothy made a phone call to Michael O'Brien, attorney at law, her husband Robert's lawyer before he died. She explained the situation in broad strokes. Michael said he could see us Monday morning, 9 a.m. at his office on Court Street. After she hung up, Dorothy made me eat something. Scrambled eggs and toast. I ate mechanically, not tasting anything. What am I going to do? I asked finally. Dorothy sat across from me, her hands wrapped around her teacup. That's up to you, Ruby, but you have options. Like what? Michael can help you file a police report for identity theft and fraud. You can contest the loans Jasmine took out in your name. You can revoke the power of attorney. You can— She's my daughter, I said. She committed crimes against you. I know, but she's still my daughter. I looked at Dorothy. I carried her for 9 months. I stayed up with her when she had colic. I taught her to read, to ride a bike, to be kind to people. James and I worked ourselves to exhaustion so she could have opportunities we never had. And she took all of that, and she's ashamed of it. Of us. Of me. Then what do you want to do? I thought about it. About the woman I'd been 3 years ago, when James was alive and Jasmine still visited and I thought I knew who I was. About the woman I'd become. Someone my own daughter lied to, stole from, mocked behind her back. About the woman I wanted to be. I want her to know, I said finally. I want her to know that I heard everything at that restaurant. I want her to know that I know about the loans, the fraud, all of it. I want her to understand what she did. And then what? And then I want her to fix it. All of it. Every loan paid back. Every fraudulent tax return amended. Every lie undone. And if she won't? I met Dorothy's eyes. Then I'll do what I have to do. I won't let her take my house. I won't let her destroy my credit. I won't let her get away with this. Dorothy nodded slowly. Okay, then we need to prepare. We need documentation of everything. Bank statements, credit reports, the power of attorney paperwork. We need to know exactly what we're dealing with before we confront her. How long will that take? A few days, maybe a week. Michael can help us get records we don't have access to. She paused. Ruby, are you sure about this? Once we start, there's no going back. I thought about Jasmine's laugh at that restaurant. The way she'd said mortifying about my casserole. The way she'd told them about the $1,500 for air conditioning like it was a joke. I thought about James. What he'd say if he knew his daughter was using the house he built as collateral for secret loans. I'm sure, I said. We stayed up until 2 a.m. that night, going through every document in James's office. Every bank statement, every tax return, every piece of paper with my name on it. Dorothy took photos of everything with her phone, created a folder, labeled it evidence. By the time we finished, we had a clear picture. Total money given to Jasmine directly, $25,200. Total debt taken out in my name, $79,150. Jasmine's real estate holdings, $2,750,000. My current credit score, 687, down from 801 in 2021. My daughter was a multimillionaire who'd been stealing from her mother and lying about it for 3 years. Dorothy left at 2:30 a.m. I walked her to her car. Get some sleep, she said. Monday, we start fighting back. I watched her taillights disappear down Cedar Hill Road. Then I went inside, locked the door, and sat at my kitchen table in the dark. On the table was my phone. I picked it up, opened my messages, found Jasmine's name. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I wanted to type so many things. I know everything. How could you? I heard you at the restaurant. But I didn't. Instead, I set the phone down. Not yet. Not until I had all the pieces. Not until I knew exactly what I was dealing with. Not until I was ready to do what had to be done. I sat there until the sun came up, watching the light creep across my kitchen floor, planning my next move. My daughter thought I was a joke, an embarrassment, a naive old woman who could be lied to and stolen from without consequence. She was about to learn exactly how wrong she was. Monday morning, August 21st, 2024, 9 a.m. sharp. Dorothy and I sat in the waiting room of O'Brien & Associates law firm at 412 Court Street. The office was in a converted Victorian house, painted sage green with white trim. Inside smelled like coffee and old books. Michael O'Brien was 68 years old, semi-retired, with a full head of white hair and kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. He'd handled Robert Jenkins's estate when he passed in 2019. Dorothy trusted him completely. He listened to our story for 45 minutes without interrupting. I showed him everything: the credit report with the 3 loans I'd never authorized, the power of attorney I'd signed thinking it was health insurance paperwork, the bank statements showing every transfer to Jasmine, the photos Dorothy had taken of her real estate holdings. When I finished, Michael sat back in his leather chair and folded his hands. "Mrs. Patterson, I need to ask you some difficult questions. Are you prepared for the answers?" "Yes." First question: do you want your daughter prosecuted criminally? I thought about Jasmine in handcuffs, in a courtroom, in prison. No, I want her to fix what she broke. I want my money back, my credit restored, my house protected. But I don't want her in jail. Michael nodded. Second question: are you prepared for your relationship with your daughter to fundamentally change, possibly end permanently? That one hurt more. I think it already has ended. I just didn't know it yet. Third question: how much do you know about your own financial situation? I blinked. What do you mean? Your assets, your net worth. Do you know what you're worth, Mrs. Patterson? I have my pension from the hospital, about $3,200 a month. James's life insurance was $150,000. I put that in savings, and the house is paid off. So maybe $200,000 total? Michael smiled slightly. May I? He gestured to his computer. Of course. He typed for several minutes, accessing databases I didn't understand. Then he turned his monitor toward me. Mrs. Patterson, according to public records and the documents you've provided, your current assets are as follows. Mountain Home Community Bank. Checking, $47,332. Mountain Home Community Bank. Savings, $184,507. Vanguard Retirement Account. James's 401k rollover. $312,445. Life insurance payout. Still in money market. $150,000. House at 1247 Cedar Hill Road. Current value, $385,000. 2015 Honda CR Vi. $8,500. James's 2003 Ford F-150. $6,200. Total assets, $1,093,984. I stared at the screen. That's over $1 million. Yes, ma'am, you're a millionaire, and your daughter knows it. Dorothy made a small sound beside me. How would she know? I asked. Michael pulled up another document. Because she has power of attorney. She has access to view all your accounts. She can see exactly what you have. He paused. Mrs. Patterson, I need to check something. Give me a moment. He made a phone call. To the IRS, he said. He was on hold for 12 minutes, then spoke in legal terminology I barely followed. When he hung up, his expression was grim. Mrs. Patterson, for the tax years 2021, 2022, and 2023, your daughter filed tax returns claiming you as a dependent. She deducted the following expenses for your care. 2021, $18,400. In-home nursing care, medical equipment, prescription medications. 2022, $22,100. Same categories, plus modifications to your home for disability access. 2023, $26,750. Same categories, plus a wheelchair-accessible vehicle. Total fraudulent deductions, $67,250. But I don't need nursing care. I don't have a wheelchair. I'm healthy. I know. That's why it's fraud. Michael pulled out a legal pad. She saved approximately $15,000 in taxes by claiming those false deductions. That's federal tax fraud, a felony. The room felt very small suddenly. There's more, Michael continued. The home equity line of credit, the $47,000 loan against your house. I checked the application. Jasmine signed your name. That's forgery. The personal loan for $23,700 from First State Bank? Also your forged signature. The Visa card with the $8,450 balance? Same thing. Dorothy was taking notes furiously. So what are we looking at total? I asked. Michael did the math on his legal pad. Direct money given to Jasmine, $25,200. Home equity line, forged, $47,000. Personal loan, Ford $23,700 credit card, Ford $8,450. Tax fraud savings, $15,000. Total, $119,350. $119,350, Michael said. That's what she's taken from you, directly or indirectly, in 3 years. I thought about my night shifts. 35 years of 12-hour shifts, 3 to 4 nights a week. My feet aching, my back hurting. Missing Jasmine's school plays because I had to work. Missing anniversaries with James. Missing sleep, missing life. All so my daughter could have a better future. And she'd used that future to steal from me. Michael spent the next hour outlining my options. I could file criminal charges, identity theft, fraud, forgery, tax fraud. Jasmine could face up to 30 years in federal prison, he said. Or I could handle it civilly. Demand repayment, restitution, amended tax returns. Give her a choice. Fix it or face prosecution. What would you do? I asked him. If it was your daughter? Michael was quiet for a moment. I'd give her one chance to make it right. One chance to come clean, pay it all back, and rebuild trust. But only one chance. And I'd have all the criminal paperwork ready to file if she refused. That seemed fair. Harsh, maybe, but fair. How long will it take to prepare everything? I asked. 1 week. I'll need to file paperwork to revoke the power of attorney immediately. We can't wait on that. I'll request full documentation from the IRS, get official credit reports, subpoena bank records. By next Monday, August 28th, we'll have everything we need. And then what? Then you decide how you want to confront her. My recommendation? A controlled environment. Your home. With me present as a witness. You present the evidence, give her the choice, and we proceed based on her response. Dorothy touched my arm. Ruby, there's something you should know. I did some more research last night. On Jasmine's law firm. What did you find? She's up for partner. The decision is being made in October. If she's convicted of fraud, or even charged, she'll lose her law license. Her entire career will be over. So that was the leverage. Her career. The thing she'd sacrificed our relationship for. Good, I said quietly. Then she'll understand exactly what's at stake. Michael looked at me carefully. Mrs. Patterson, I need to make sure you understand. If you go through with this, if you confront her with everything we know, there's no going back. Your relationship will never be the same. I thought about Saturday night at Mountain Lake Bistro. The sound of Jasmine's laugh when Brandon mocked my accent. The casual cruelty when Patricia called my casserole mortifying. The way my daughter had said I came from a different world, like I was something to be ashamed of. Our relationship is already over, I said. She killed it herself. I'm just making it official. We spent the rest of the week gathering evidence. Michael worked quickly. By Thursday, August 24th, he had official IRS records of Jasmine's fraudulent tax filings, certified credit reports showing all accounts opened in my name, handwriting analysis comparing my real signature to the forged ones, loan applications with my forged signature bank statements showing the paper trail asterisk, legal documentation revoking the power of attorney, effective immediately. On Friday, August 25th, Michael presented me with a folder. Inside was everything, organized chronologically, with tabs and highlighting. Evidence of every lie, every theft, every betrayal. This is your case, he said. Airtight, irrefutable. She can't deny any of this. I took the folder home and set it on my kitchen table, stared at it for a long time. That night I went to James's grave for the first time since the funeral. Mountain View Cemetery, Section C, Plot 247. His headstone was simple gray granite. James Robert Patterson, March 15, 1957 to March 22, 2021. Beloved husband and father. A life well built. I sat on the grass beside him, the evening sun warm on my back. I don't know what to do, James, I said out loud. She's our baby girl, but she's stealing from me, lying to me, using your house, the house you built with your own hands, as collateral for secret loans. The wind moved through the oak trees. Somewhere nearby a cardinal sang. You always said family was everything. That blood was thicker than water. But what if blood turns out to be poison? What if the person who's hurting me most is the person I love most? No answer. Just the wind and the cardinal and my own breaking heart. I'm going to confront her, I said finally. I'm going to make her fix what she broke. And if she won't, I touched his headstone. If she won't, I'm going to protect myself, the way you would have protected me if you were still here. I stayed until the sun set, then drove home to my empty house. Saturday morning, August 26th, 2024. I called Jasmine at 9:47 a.m. She answered on the third ring. "Hey, Mama." She sounded distracted. I could hear music in the background. Voices. "Hi, baby. Is this a bad time?" No, just having coffee with friends." "What's up?" "Friends. Probably Brandon's friends. People who laughed at church dresses. I wanted to invite you to dinner, at my house. Tomorrow, Sunday. Just you and me." Silence for a moment. "Tomorrow? That's kind of short notice, Mama." "I know, but I've been thinking a lot about you and me, about our relationship. And I realized we haven't had a real conversation in years. No Brandon, no distractions, just mother and daughter." Another pause. "What brought this on?" I kept my voice steady. "You're my only child, Jasmine. I lost your father 3 years ago. I don't want to lose you too. Can we please just have one dinner together? I'll make your favorites. My grandmother's gumbo, cornbread, sweet potato pie." The food was the hook. Jasmine had loved my grandmother's gumbo since she was a little girl. It was the one thing from her childhood she'd never criticized. Okay. What time?" 5 o'clock. That way you can drive back to Charlotte before it gets too late." "Okay. Should I bring Brandon?" "No," I said firmly. "Just you, baby. This is mother-daughter time." We hung up. I sat in my kitchen, shaking. Dorothy arrived an hour later. I'd called her right after I called Jasmine. She said yes, I told her. "Are you ready for this?" "No, but I'm doing it anyway." Dorothy helped me clean the house, even though it was already clean. We polished the silver, ironed the tablecloth, set the dining room table with my good china, the set James's mother had given us for our wedding, white porcelain with gold trim. Michael O'Brien would arrive at 4:30 p.m. and wait in James's office. Dorothy would be there too. Witnesses, protection, support. Sunday morning I went to church. Reverend Thomas Wright's sermon was about forgiveness, which felt like either divine timing or cruel irony. After the service, he pulled me aside. "Ruby, I've known you and your family for 20 years. You look troubled. Is everything all right?" "No, Reverend, but it will be, one way or another." He squeezed my hand. "Whatever you're facing, remember, forgiveness doesn't mean accepting abuse. Even Jesus threw the money changers out of the temple." I thought about that while I cooked. Started the gumbo at noon. It needed hours to develop the right depth of flavor. Chicken, andouille sausage, the holy trinity of onions, celery, and bell peppers. A dark roux the color of chocolate. The recipe my grandmother had taught my mother, who'd taught me, who'd taught Jasmine when she was 12 years old. The house filled with the smell of home. At 4:30 p.m., Michael and Dorothy arrived. We went over the plan one more time. At 4:52 p.m., I saw Jasmine's silver Mercedes pull into my driveway. Jasmine knocked even though she had a key. I opened the door. My daughter stood on the porch in designer jeans and a cream-colored cashmere sweater. Her hair was pulled back in a sleek ponytail. She carried a bottle of wine, expensive looking, probably $40 or more. "Hi, Mama." She leaned in for a quick hug. I smelled her perfume, something floral and sophisticated. Not the drugstore body spray she'd worn in high school. "Come in, baby." She stepped inside, looked around like she was seeing the house for the first time. "You've kept everything exactly the same." "Your father built this house. I'm not changing it." Something flickered across her face. Guilt? Nostalgia? It was gone too quickly to tell. "Dinner smells amazing," she said. "It'll be ready in about 20 minutes. You want sweet tea?" "Just water, please. Trying to cut back on sugar." Of course she was. I poured her water in a crystal glass, part of the wedding china set, and we sat in the living room. The same room where she'd opened Christmas presents as a child, where James had taught her to play checkers, where we'd taken photos before her senior prom. "So," Jasmine said, setting down her glass, "what did you want to talk about?" "Let's eat first. I didn't slave over a hot stove all day to let the gumbo get cold." We moved to the dining room. I'd set 2 places at opposite ends of the table. Formal, intentional. I served the gumbo in my grandmother's bowls, white ceramic with blue flowers. Set out the cornbread, the file powder, the hot sauce. Jasmine took a bite and closed her eyes. "God, I forgot how good this is." "Your great-grandmother's recipe. 4 generations of women in our family have made this exact gumbo. It's perfect. We ate in silence for a few minutes. Then I said casually, I ran into Eleanor Price at the farmer's market last Wednesday. Jasmine looked up. Oh? She mentioned she saw you at Mountain Lake Bistro, said you looked happy. Jasmine's spoon paused halfway to her mouth. When? Tuesday night, August 15th, the same night you called me about the canceled dinner. She set down her spoon carefully. Mama, the dinner that wasn't actually canceled, the one you had with Brandon's parents and his brother and sister-in-law. Table for 6, 7 p.m. reservation. Her face went pale. I can explain? I'm sure you can. You're very good at explaining things. Like how you needed $1,500 for air conditioning repair when you actually spent it on that dinner. And a Gucci bag. How did you— I was there, Jasmine. My voice was steady, calm. I was at Mountain Lake Bistro that night, sitting in the back corner. I saw everything. And I heard everything. The color drained completely from her face. Mama, please. I heard you laugh about my accent, about my church dresses, about the casserole I made for your father's funeral, the one you hid in the coat check because it was mortifying. I didn't mean— I heard Brandon count how many times I said ain't at Christmas. I heard Patricia talk about my presentation like I was livestock at a county fair. I heard you tell them I come from a different world, a different social class. Jasmine was crying now, silent tears running down her perfect makeup. Mama, I'm so sorry. I heard you tell them you've gotten $25,000 from me in the past 3 years. Except you were wrong. It's $25,200. I keep track of every penny. I stood up and walked to the sideboard, picked up the folder Michael had prepared, brought it back to the table and set it in front of Jasmine. Open it. Her hand shook as she opened the folder. Page 1, I said. Credit report dated August 21st, 2024. You'll see 3 accounts I never opened. A Visa card with an $8,450 balance. A home equity line for $47,000 against this house, the house your father built. And a personal loan for $23,700. Total, $79,150 in debt. In my name. With my forged signature. Jasmine was shaking her head. No, I was going to pay it back. Page 2. Power of attorney document dated April 2021. You told me it was health insurance paperwork. It wasn't. It gave you complete access to my finances. You weren't using the money, I thought. Page 3. IRS records. For 3 years, you've been claiming me as a dependent, deducting expenses for my care. Nursing care I don't need. Medical equipment I don't have. A wheelchair-accessible vehicle that doesn't exist. You saved $15,000 in taxes by lying about my health. That's federal tax fraud, Jasmine. A felony. She was sobbing now, her carefully made-up face streaked with tears and mascara. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Page 4. Bank records showing every transfer I made to you, every lie you told about why you needed the money, every Instagram post showing what you really spent it on. Beach vacations, new furniture, your Mercedes, your $1.85 million house in Myers Park. How do you know about the house? I know everything, Jasmine. I know you own 4 properties worth almost $3 million. I know you're up for partner at your firm. I know your real salary is $347,000 a year, not counting Brandon's income. I know you've been pretending to struggle while you're actually wealthy. She couldn't speak, just sat there crying, the evidence spread out in front of her. I walked to James's office, opened the door. Michael and Dorothy stepped out. Jasmine, this is Michael O'Brien, my attorney, and you know Dorothy. Jasmine's eyes went wide. What is this? This is me protecting myself, I said. Michael, please explain Ms. Patterson Reynolds' options. Michael stepped forward, all business. Ms. Patterson Reynolds, based on the evidence in this folder, you have committed the following crimes: identity theft, fraud, forgery, and federal tax fraud. The total value of your crimes exceeds $119,000. You face up to 30 years in federal prison. Jasmine made a sound like she'd been hit. However, Michael continued, Mrs. Patterson is offering you a choice. Option 1. Within 72 hours, you will pay back the full $25,200 you took directly from your mother, pay off the $79,150 in fraudulent debt, in your mother's name, File amended tax returns for 2021, 2022, and 2023, paying back the $15,000 in fraudulent deductions plus penalties and interest. Enter into a legally binding repayment plan for any additional costs. Attend family therapy with your mother, weekly, for a minimum of 1 year. Provide full transparency of your finances going forward. Total amount due, $119,350, plus approximately $8,000 in IRS penalties and interest. Grand total, $127,350. Jasmine was shaking her head. I don't have that much liquid cash. You have 4 properties, I said. Sell one. Take a loan against your partnership. Figure it out. You're a lawyer. You're smart. You'll find a way. Option 2, Michael said, is that Mrs. Patterson files criminal charges tomorrow morning. You'll be arrested. You'll lose your law license. Your partnership will be rescinded. You'll likely go to prison, and you'll lose your mother forever. Jasmine looked at me, mascara streaking down her face, her perfect facade completely shattered. Mama, please. I never meant to hurt you. I wanted to fit in. Brandon's family, they have so much money, and I felt like I had to prove I belonged. So you stole from me? My voice broke for the first time. You used the house your father built with his own hands as collateral for your insecurities? I'm sorry. You stood at your father's funeral and you laughed about me behind my back. You took money from me thinking I was too stupid to notice. You lied to me for 3 years. I know. Do you? I stepped closer. Do you know what it felt like to sit in that restaurant and hear my only child say I was mortifying? To hear you laugh when they mocked the way I talk? I worked night shifts for 35 years so you could go to college. Your father worked construction in the heat and the cold so you could have a better life, and you thanked us by being ashamed of us. I'm not ashamed. Yes, you are. You're ashamed that I say ain't, that I wear church dresses, that I made a casserole instead of ordering from a caterer. You're ashamed that we're black and working class and didn't go to fancy schools. You're ashamed of who you are, Jasmine. And that's the saddest thing of all. She was crying so hard she could barely breathe. I'll fix it. I'll fix everything. I'll get the money. I'll pay it all back. I'll do the therapy. Whatever you want. I don't want your money, I said quietly. I want my daughter back. The one who used to help me plant tomatoes, who loved my gumbo, who was proud of where she came from. I am that person. No, you're not. Not anymore. And I don't know if you can be again. I looked at Michael. Give her the paperwork. Michael handed Jasmine a document. This is a legally binding agreement. You have until Wednesday, August 29th at 5 p.m. to sign it and transfer the first payment of $50,000. The remaining balance will be paid in monthly installments of $10,000 over 8 months. If you miss a single payment or violate any term of this agreement, Mrs. Patterson will immediately file criminal charges. Do you understand? Jasmine nodded, unable to speak. There's one more thing, they said. Until this debt is paid in full, you are not welcome in this house. You will not call me asking for anything. You will not contact me except through Michael regarding the repayment plan. When the debt is paid, if you want to rebuild our relationship, we'll do it in family therapy. But it will be on my terms, not yours. Not Brandon's, not his family's, mine. Mama, those are the terms, Jasmine. Take them or leave them. She looked at the document in her shaking hands, at Michael, at Dorothy, at me. I'll take them, she whispered. I'll sign it. Good. Michael will email you the final version tomorrow morning. You have 72 hours. I walked to the front door and opened it. You should go now. Jasmine stood up slowly, leaving her barely touched gumbo on the table. She walked to the door, stopped in front of me. I do love you, Mama. I know you don't believe me, but I do. Love is what you do, Jasmine, not what you say. Your father taught me that. Now it's time you learned it too. She left. I watched her Mercedes pull out of the driveway, then close the door. Dorothy came and put her arms around me. I didn't cry. I'd done all my crying already. I just stood there, feeling empty and full at the same time. You did the right thing, Dorothy said. Did I? Yes. You taught her that actions have consequences, that love doesn't mean accepting abuse, that you have dignity and worth. Michael packed up his documents. I'll send the final agreement tomorrow. If she doesn't comply, call me immediately and we'll file charges. After they left, I sat alone in my dining room. 2 bowls of gumbo on the table. Mine empty. Jasmine's barely touched. I looked at my grandmother's bowls, my mother's recipe. 4 generations of black women who'd worked and sacrificed and loved their children fiercely. I hope I did right by you, I said to the empty room. I hope you're proud. 3 months later, November 18th, 2024, 3 months and 2 days since the dinner. I was in my garden, pruning the rose bushes for winter, when Dorothy's car pulled into the driveway. She got out carrying a folder. News? I asked. News. She sat on the porch steps, patted the space beside her. Jasmine had signed the agreement. On August 28th at 4:47 p.m., 13 minutes before the deadline, she'd transferred $50,000 to my account and signed the legally binding contract. She'd been making her $10,000 monthly payments on time. September 15th, October 15th, November 15th. No communication except through Michael. No phone calls. No excuses. The amended tax returns were filed, Dorothy said, opening the folder. IRS accepted them. She's paid the back taxes and penalties. Total $8,247. And the loans? Paid off. All 3 accounts closed. Your credit score is back up to 798. I let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. There's something else, Dorothy said. She sold one of the investment properties, the one in Asheville. Used the money to pay you back faster than required. As of yesterday, the entire debt is cleared. All $127,350. 3 months. She'd paid back everything in 3 months instead of 8. She also enrolled in therapy, Dorothy continued. Individual therapy, not just family. She's going twice a week. How do you know? Michael told me. She sends him updates, hoping he'll pass them to you. Dorothy looked at me. Ruby, she's trying. I know. Are you going to talk to her? I thought about it. About the daughter who'd stolen from me, and the daughter who was paying it back. About the woman who'd laughed at my casserole, and the woman who was going to therapy twice a week. Not yet, I said. The agreement says she has to complete 3 months of therapy before we start family counseling. That's January. We'll talk then. Are you going to forgive her? I don't know. Maybe. Eventually. I pulled on my gardening gloves. But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. And it doesn't mean things go back to how they were. She broke something, Dorothy. Something that might not ever be fully fixed. But you're willing to try? I'm willing to see if she's willing to try. There's a difference. Dorothy left around noon. I worked in the garden until the sun started to set, then went inside to make dinner. Just for myself. Grilled chicken, roasted vegetables, sweet tea. I ate at the kitchen table, looking out at the mountains turning purple in the twilight. My house. My garden. My peace. The phone rang at 6:30 p.m. Unknown number. I answered. Mrs. Patterson? A woman's voice, professional. This is Dr. Sarah Chen. I'm Jasmine's therapist. She asked me to call you, with your permission first, of course. She wanted me to tell you that she's making progress, that she's starting to understand the harm she caused, and that when you're ready to talk, she'll be ready to listen. Thank you, Dr. Chen. Tell her I'll see her in January. For family counseling. Not before. I will. And Mrs. Patterson? For what it's worth, I think you did exactly the right thing. You set boundaries. You demanded accountability. Those are the foundations of any healthy relationship. After I hung up, I went to James's grave. It was cold out, November in the mountains, but I didn't mind. I sat on the grass beside his headstone. She's trying, James, I said. I don't know if it'll be enough. I don't know if we'll ever be what we were. But she's trying. The wind moved through the bare oak trees. Somewhere in the distance, a dog barked. I did what you would have done. Protected our home, protected myself. Made her understand that love without respect isn't really love at all. I sat there until the stars came out, then drove home to my house on the hill. That night I slept better than I had in 3 years. 6 months later, May 3rd, 2025. 6 months after the debt was paid. 4 months into family therapy. Jasmine came to visit on a Saturday afternoon. She called first, asked permission. Arrived at 2 p.m. in a different car, not the Mercedes, but a modest Honda Civic. She wore jeans and a plain t-shirt. No designer labels. Her hair was in a simple ponytail. "Hi, Mama." "Hi, baby." We sat on the back porch, drinking sweet tea, watching the roses bloom. 43 bushes, all coming back to life after the winter. "Dr. Chen says I have internalized racism," Jasmine said quietly. "That I spent so long trying to be acceptable to Brandon's family that I started seeing myself and you through their eyes, seeing us as less than. And now? Now I'm trying to see us the way we really are, strong, resilient, worthy of respect." She looked at me. "I left Brandon." I was quiet for a moment. "When?" "Last month. We're getting divorced. He didn't understand why I had to pay you back. Didn't understand why I was in therapy. Didn't understand why I couldn't just keep living the life we'd built on lies. I'm sorry. I'm not. Not anymore." She smiled, but it was sad. "I got a new job too. Left the firm. I'm working for the Legal Aid Society now, helping people who can't afford lawyers. The pay is terrible, but the work, it matters. Your father would be proud of that." "I think so too." She set down her tea. "Mama, I know I can't undo what I did. I can't unhear the things I said at that restaurant. I can't give you back the 3 years I wasted lying to you. But I'm trying to be better, to be the daughter you and Daddy raised me to be." "I can see that." "Do you think," her voice broke, "do you think you'll ever be able to forgive me?" I thought about it, about forgiveness and healing and the long road back to trust. "I think I'm learning to," I said finally. "It's not there yet, but it's coming. Like the roses after winter. Slowly, but it's coming." We sat in silence for a while. Then Jasmine said, "Can I help you in the garden, like we used to?" "I'd like that." We spent the afternoon together, pulling weeds, deadheading spent blooms, preparing the beds for summer. Our hands in the dirt, side by side, not talking much, just being. When the sun started to set, Jasmine got ready to leave. "Can I come back next week?" she asked. "Yes, Saturday at 2 p.m. We'll work on the vegetable garden." She hugged me, tentative at first, then tighter. "I love you, Mama. I'm going to spend the rest of my life proving it." "I know, baby. I know." I watched her drive away in her Honda Civic, then went inside to make dinner. Later that night, I sat on the back porch with my coffee, watching the stars come out over the mountains. I thought about the woman I'd been 6 months ago, heartbroken, betrayed, alone, and the woman I was now, stronger, wiser, more sure of my worth. I thought about Jasmine, slowly finding her way back to herself, back to me, back to the values we'd raised her with. I thought about James and what he'd say if he could see us now. I think he'd say, "Ruby Marie, you did good. You loved our girl enough to hold her accountable. You were strong enough to demand respect. You were wise enough to know that real love requires real honesty." And I think he'd be right. At 62 years old, I'd learned something I should have known all along. Family isn't about obligation or blood or unconditional acceptance of bad behavior. Family is about mutual respect, honest communication, and the courage to hold each other accountable. Some bonds break, some bend, but the strongest ones learn to heal. And we were healing, slowly, imperfectly, but truly. I finished my coffee and went inside, locked the door, turned off the lights, went upstairs to the bedroom I'd shared with James for 40 years. Tomorrow I'd wake up at 5:30, make my coffee, sit on the back porch and watch the sunrise. I'd work in my garden, maybe call Dorothy, maybe read a book. And next Saturday, Jasmine would come back. We'd work in the garden together. We'd talk, or we wouldn't. We'd make progress, or we'd struggle, but we'd try. That was enough. That was everything. I closed my eyes and slept peacefully, in my house, on my hill, surrounded by my roses and my dignity and my hard-won peace. And then I would decide what to do next. I finished my coffee and went inside. I had 3 days to prepare.